And welcome back live. I mean, we are alive. I don't know if saying that we are live is necessarily correct, but we are live once again.
We are live right now, right? Like
in this
right
moment.
this
and if you're listening to this, obviously you're alive in this moment. You're live in that moment.
Unless you're trespassing and you're in the backyard.
And if you're trespassing, you're in the right place. That's in the lair of the beast. That's a beastly thing to do. We are the children of the beast. Hi, hello. I'm Andrew, joined as always with my big brother Carlos.
Hello, everybody. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Hold on. But trespassing, that's a beastly thing to do. I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, trespassing with intent.
Yeah.
You know, if you're trespassing to pick up your shuttlecock because you're playing badminton, it's not that beastly.
No.
You know, you hit it over the fence.
The fact that you know whatever the badminton thing is called, a shuttlecock, is that what you call it?
That's what it's called, sir.
A shuttlecock.
Yes. That's what it's called. That's what it's called.
Somebody called NASA.
When you listen to me. When you play proper badminton in your life, I'm talking about a competitive game of badminton.
Oh.
Now, I'm not talking about that bullshit little setup net with the PVC pipes that stay all bent and not straight and never look like the picture. And then you go out there and you throw the thing over the thing 2 times and you quit. No, I'm talking about a cement mounted pole with a proper regulation net that has been tensioned with designated serving areas. Oh yeah, there's courts and shit. It's fun. It's good.
Here? Las Vegas, Nevada?
I've never seen it here.
Okay, so where?
I would imagine in the United States to be like an East Coast thing or also a retirement home thing, maybe.
So maybe like a Florida thing? No,
because it's muggy out there. You know, it looks more like
volleyball. They got the spike ball.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it here, to be honest with you.
So this is the
I'm sure there's parks that have.
But this is like a legitimate thing in Mexico.
Well, yeah, at the country club where I grew up going to, like play racket sports and swim and shit like that, they had a very nice badminton courts.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would come here to visit mom and then take good rackets back home because they didn't have that equipment. I'd buy decent rackets and be like, oh, I'm gonna fuck you people up now. And also the shuttlecocks that are legit are the head.
We gotta call them something else.
The head's made out of cork.
The head of the shuttlecock, please continue.
Yeah, the part that you hit. The part that you hit. Right? Okay. And then instead of having the little shitty plastic things, they got feathers. Real feathers. And then woven in. It's very cool.
Almost, one could say pubic-like.
No. Not unless you got some sugar in the tank.
No, we're not relitigating this.
We're not relitigating then let's move past the badminton. But I highly recommend it.
You're a fool.
Hey, man, I like sports with rackets. You know? What are you going to do?
So like squash?
Oh, yeah. Squash is great. Love squash.
It's like a vegetable or two, right? That's the only squash I like.
I don't like the vegetable very much. And I don't know if it's a fruit or a root.
It has seeds. So maybe a fruit. No, but it grows in the ground. Well, I mean, all fruit grows in the ground.
In essence, yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but no, not a fan of it. But yes, I do like the sport. Squash, racquetball.
What's the difference? I thought they were the same thing.
Squash, the racket in squash is longer and thinner head. And the ball doesn't bounce. The ball's like flat. You have to hit it very hard and there's very little bounce to it. Where in racquetball, the ball's bigger, the racket's shorter, and the racket head is bigger itself. It's larger, so you can strike it better. And then the ball bounces a lot. So it's a faster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the court dimensions are the exact same.
Gotcha.
So you can use the same court to play squash and racquetball.
Yeah. Are there any other sort of racket type games?
Yeah, but I don't know the name of it in English. There's one that you play in the same court as they do the highlight. You know what that is? With a basket. So there's this game where there's like 3 walls, right?
Like the Aztec game?
No. That's more like basketball.
Okay.
With Muay Thai. We'll get to that later.
No, I know that, yeah.
But no. This is basically you have a wall over there, a wall here, and a wall behind you. And it's really, really long. Maybe
it's like a triangle room?
No, it's a big rectangle missing one wall. So it's only
so it's like a glass wall that you just don't use, basically?
Right. No, it's open. It's open space. It's a line and it's out of bounds.
Okay, gotcha.
Right? And so you play, and so in that thing, you have these things that they put in their hands and they hold on to them, and it's like a hooked basket. The ball is really, really hard, and they catch the thing and they throw it against the wall, and it bounces. But I mean, they throw this thing going like 120 miles an hour. Yeah, if you get hit with it, it hurts. They have to wear like helmets and shit. It's like a Hispanic game. They played in Florida, I know. It's called Highlight. Well, anyway, in the same court, there's another game that we used to play in Mexico is called fronton, which is a different racket, different ball, but same concept. 2 people, really long court.
Gotcha. Okay.
One plays the front, one plays the back. Yeah, it's fun, man. Racket sports. I'm into them. The majority of them. You know, racket sports and board sports.
I like board games.
Board games are good. Board games are good. Board games are good. See, that's the thing about it, is that really all of them are good. That's why I know video games are a problem for me, personally, from an addiction side. Because I'll do that with anybody.
Sure,
the problem is that in order to get addicted to fucking Monopoly, you need at least 3 other motherfuckers that are going to sit with your degenerate ass. And who wants to do that? You know what I mean? Where with video game, like, I don't need anybody. You don't need anybody.
Yeah,
you know? Shit, I was addicted to video games before you could play online with other people. So, I was my own community. Okay. That's how I rocked it.
You're silly.
Hey, you ever done a season of Madden just for you?
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm talking training. Oh, by the way, I don't even know football. Anything I know about football is only and exclusively related to Madden. Yeah. I don't know shit else. So yeah. No, I can't have it. I gotta have my
sports. Way. Baseball should be canceled. More like disease ball. Because they all got the Rona. All 50 teams. Yeah. Not all 50 teams.
But see, okay, and I'm not as close to it. What are they doing differently from baseball to basketball? Because I see that basketball seems to have it down, right? And then hockey's creeping soon, right?
So it just started.
Okay, so what are...
so let me break it down for you. The difference is in basketball and hockey, they're in a hub city. I think basketball is in Florida at the Disney Worldwide of Sports. Maybe so is hockey, but it could also be somewhere in Canada. I'm not necessarily sure.
Is there home advantage anymore?
Not necessarily, right?
That doesn't matter right now.
Courts, and they're all kind of isolated and NBA player specifically. I'm forgetting his name, but in the last couple of weeks, he publicized how this NBA player but left.
Oh yeah, they got that one to get the wings at the strip joint.
They're named after him. That's the important part. They're named.
I hear they're a hell of a wing too.
That's what everybody. Claims.
Yeah, everybody says they're fire.
I'm no wing connoisseur, and I'm certainly no strip club connoisseur. So I
have a problem with you claiming the culinary praises of your joint when you're selling titty and ass too. And not that I have a problem with wings. Oh, please, titties and ass.
Breast and thigh. Please.
Let's
be respectful.
And also, so these guys are eating chicken wings with their hands, and then they're getting all handsy with the strippers. They smell like chicken grease and stuff. That's not right.
Isn't that why garlic parmesan and spicy garlic and those flavors were developed? I feel like I heard this in a podcast.
Oh my god, probably, but it's disgusting nonetheless. even in a recounting type of situation.
It is. So, right, NBA have this hub city, NHL has the hub city. Whereas baseball, they let them go wild. They're playing in every team. People
and they're flying.
They're allowed to travel back home.
And people were in the stadium, at least in the pictures that I saw. Fauci was up in that bitch.
Oh yeah, with his chin mask.
Yeah, well, partially.
Well, wait, that's what I mean. It was around his chin.
Yeah.
Mouth, which is what
I mean, that sucks. But at the very least, again, the mortality rate is so fucking low now. It's getting lower and lower, and that's one good byproduct of all the positive tests.
Yeah, a lot of people are still dying though.
Yeah. We had a nurse that is a friend of our family's. She works in Chicago. One of the COVID hospitals that are handling a lot of the cases. And one of the things that she told us is what they do is one of the procedures that my son has to go through is called a lumbar puncture. And they do a chemo right into the spinal fluid, right? In his case, it's just a preventative measure from the protocol that he's following. But anyway, it's a common procedure at some of these hospitals. And Meg was saying that they test the kids now at the hospital, no matter what, when they come in, not so much for the kids, but for the staff.
Sure, that makes sense.
And she said that they've had so many kids that come in and they have it and they have absolutely no symptoms. Kids that have Michael's leukemia.
Wow.
And but because it's a wild card, you still can't.
Well, do we even want to touch this hydroxychloroquine stuff? Chloroquine stuff?
No.
Do we want to dive into that subject?
But here's the thing too: is that it's such a mindfuck because the only way that I personally navigate through these conversations is by not getting ahead of the steps, right?
Sure.
Because step one is, okay, only some people are getting it and under certain circumstances and under certain overcrowding places and under ventilated situations and with people that they maybe don't know and they don't, I wouldn't do this with anybody else. you know, and I'm not, and I don't feel at risk, but I'm not getting close to people.
Right, yeah,
I'm
totally.
changing my clothes as soon as I come into the fucking laundry room before I go into my house.
Yeah.
I have sanitizer in my truck. I have sanitizer, you know, like it's just not, it's not that I'm like, I'm not conforming, but we don't know until we know. And until we know, I'm going to play safe. As safe as I can. Because if it gets me, listen, if it's fucking flying in the air, you know, and I walk out and it goes in my nose, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do about it. Right. But that doesn't mean that I should be like, so fuck it. Well, that's
to
me.
You should be like Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen.
Oh, we got to get to that.
The sun kills it. I'm going to go out and do shows and hang out with people and take pictures.
No. That shit's just, it's nonsense. But what I'm saying is that you go, okay, now let's go. You have that all the risk factors to get it, right? We know that a lot of people are asymptomatic. They show absolutely nothing. Like we're just talking about that UFC fighter that tested positive. He has no symptoms, no fever, no nothing, right?
Tested a couple days before.
Right. So it sounds like it's something that could be going through you and you don't even know it.
Sure.
Because if you have no symptoms, then why would you ever get tested? And you may already have had it or whatever the fuck it is. So out of the people that get it, right, only some of them get really bad symptoms.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Not all of them. Only some of those that get really bad symptoms require hospitalization. And out of those that do require hospitalization because their symptoms got so bad, a very small percentage succumb to it.
Right.
And that's just the real breakdown of shit.
I mean, it's just,
but it's easy to go from,
it's
easy to go from infection to death in your head because of the times that we're living in and the flow of information.
Well, right, let me ask you a question, right? Do you have a number, like a percentage number in your head of how many people have died who get infected with the coronavirus?
I know. I looked it up Thursday, I think. Or, I mean, at least what's on the CDC website. Yeah. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's under 5%.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. And I feel like the perception, because we hear this number like 150,000 Americans who have died, that
not to minimize that amount.
Of course not.
You know,
of course not. But right, I feel like the perception is that I think a lot more people would think that number is probably like around 10-15%.
Yeah. And if it was, it'd be a lot more alarming, but it's still a matter of keeping everything into context. And that's the main reason why, you know.
Well, and like it's thankful that our hospitals haven't been overran.
Right.
Like there seems to be a lot of data coming out tracking hospitalizations and kind of hospital beds. And it seems well there have been times where those have come to question, but it seems that even when they were building extra beds in hospitals, they took them down and it seemed necessary to keep them, which is a great thing. So well,
and you saw that a couple of weeks ago, USA Today had declared Vegas one of the new hotspots or whatever. But yet we're breaking down the mobile testing facilities at UNLV, right?
So it's moving indoors to Thomas and Mack though, so it's still going to be there. It's just moving.
Right. But you know that they're saving space once they're doing that.
Well, also semester is going to start in about 2 weeks in August, third week of August. So I think it's more of a logistical.
But if we were in full-blown mode, they don't do some things like that as easily. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And I think that hopefully the vaccine is going to be here soon. I'm hoping that before Christmas, the vaccine happens. I think that there's huge political gain for the administration if he delivers a vaccine that he can snatch the credit from.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's going to be able to. Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows?
Truly, who knows?
Who knows, dude? Who knows, you know? But yeah. In the meantime, I took a couple of weeks off of the gym because it seemed like it was spiking up again, you know. And so I took a couple of weeks off of the gym. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do my thing at home, and you know I still have to do work and all that. But I'm really careful with work, and I'm only going where I need to go. And thankfully, the job that I just finished is gonna be in Mesquite, which is far from here, and it's really isolated. They don't really have any issues over there. So it's. You know, but
man, a place like Mesquite or like a place, I don't know, a rural kind of remote place seems to be the place to be during something like this.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good reasons for all of that stuff. It's just the
convenience of
to me, it's mostly the personality of the individual that lives there, because if you're not a person that seeks different perspectives on purpose, you're not going to get them by exposure, being isolated.
And one of those places,
and that's an issue.
Yeah, totally.
You know, now there's people that live in those places and they have a way to obviously still.
Well, I feel like Kingman, Arizona would be a great example of this, right?
Yeah.
A place that seems to be super insular, super conservative, super Republican to a point where someone like Sacha Baron Cohen can go in and make a video making fun of how ridiculous they appear to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one too. But yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I like the idea of it, but I grew up in a city, and I like a city. You know, I like the amount of resources that are readily available in a city. You know, because as much as sometimes people idealize the amount of time they have to spend traveling for goods when they live that remotely, and that's time away from your family too. Just because you're in the truck and you're on the highway, it doesn't mean that it's not time away from your family the way it would be if you were at work at an office. You know,
time away. Right?
Time away is time away. So I don't know. Like the trade-offs to me are not.
It's just a matter of priorities, honestly.
No, I would have to have a completely different kind of life.
Yeah, totally.
Like mapped out.
Totally.
You know, to do something like that. Which I mean, I'm sure I could. Like if I wanted to, like dedicate my life to like growing some kind of food or something. But you also have to make those decisions much earlier in life because it is fucking labor.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know,
it's incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah. But yeah, man, yeah, and that was my week basically. Just grinding it out. It's been hot,
dude. It's so hot. Like
this 110s.
I had multiple plans this week to do stuff like kind of earlier in the morning around 8:30, and even by then it's just
96.
It's so hot.
Yeah,
it's so hot. It's just. I mean, I was supposed to be on campus at 9:00 to kind of scout out some locations for a couple different friends who are doing it, and I kind of just stayed on campus and drove around because I was like, I'm just going to do this from my car because it's hot and I'm going to be sweating. And now with my dyed hair, my sweat's going to be green. I'm going to get the green streaks. I don't know.
Well, that's the same thing I have. You know me, dog. I sweat.
I mean, you just looked at the temperature on the fan just now as you said that.
I sweat profusely. And I got to pick and choose my times. Like there's some things that once I'm done in the afternoon and I get into the house in the AC and it's like 3:00, there's no chance in hell I'm going back out. You know, like it's this morning I did a bike ride with James and it was like 8:00 in the morning. Yeah, still warm. It was 91 degrees.
Yeah, still warm.
I mean, it was nice and we made it. He did his 2 miles and everything, but he didn't want to go for round 2. He was like, you know what, dude? Let's call this one. You know, this was a victory. We did it. We got out. We got something.
I love that's your barometer because my barometer for how hot it is my puppy. She's about to turn a year old and usually she's a crazy 1-year-old dog running around. But when it's 110 degrees outside,
fuck you.
Homegirl is on the tile underneath the vent where the AC blasts. And she gets blasted and she lays there. And she's panting and she hangs out. But
nah, it's there's a couple of these days that have been brutal. So, but no, I mean, just working. Michael had really good blood work again, and he doesn't have an appointment for another like 10 days or something.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So it looks like he'll go into maintenance therapy around September, which will be great.
That's awesome.
So the stress level's somewhat easing up, just now focusing on work and making sure that, every business here that we fucking have a way to survive and be viable. So, but the rest of the shit can work out, So, they did the decision with school for good.
Right. Is it just the first 90 days, right? Or
it's all virtual.
Year?
Ours said is the whole year. Yeah.
Wow.
So we signed up to get a Chromebook just in case. I mean, they gave me an amount. We're paying for it,
Oh shit! I just lost my mind. Nope, it's gone.
It's gone.
It was something about school too. It's gone.
You gotta take your alpha brain, dog. Shout out to Honor.
You're so dumb.
Hey, they may be losing a sponsor in these troubling times. In the pod sphere, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, if they happen to be looking to encourage and develop new podcasting talent,
the hottest rising new podcast.
Listen, we got space right there.
We do, we do.
But
speaking of losing podcast sponsorships, losing a career even, Brian Callen, a LA Times news report seemingly credibly accuses him about 3 different women. I think. Came out 2 or 3.
Oh, okay. Yes, there was. I believe there's 4, but when I read the article, it's really centered about one woman. Okay, because here was the breakdown of the article. So the main accusation is that many years ago, Callen knew this woman through her father.
Okay.
She claims her father gave Callen a gig on Broadway or in theater at some point back in the day. Yeah. Okay. And so then Callen moves from New York or New Hampshire, whatever the fuck he moved from. I think it was in New York when he first knew this woman and allegedly her father. So he moves out to LA, and a couple of years later, she decides that she wants to be a comedian too, I think.
Okay.
And so she moves out here. And so while she is there, Callan was like, hey, let me show you the town, blah, blah, blah. And they went out a couple of times. And then one time they went out, had a couple of drinks. And this is where, to me, just, listen, I don't deny anything. I'm just going to tell you what I read, right? So she says she gets up, she ordered one drink. She gets up in the middle of that dinner to go to the bathroom. She comes back and she just drinks that one drink. But right away, she felt weird. Then they decided that they're going to go to a movie. Being that it was back in the day, they didn't have a newspaper. So instead of going to look for a newspaper, they went back to Callan's where he had the newspaper, right?
So old.
To look at the movie times.
Ye olden times.
Once they get to Callan's house, she said that they started like making out, blah, blah, blah. She excused herself to go to the bathroom, and she went to the bathroom. And then when she was coming out, Callan kind of like accosted her in the hallway, and that he basically grabbed her and forced her to rape her, that she said no several times. And that he did it anyway. And that he said that let's just get this out of the way. And then she claims that afterwards she was upset and she was crying. And that Brian said something to the effect like, oh, come on. What am I now? A big bad guy? I'm a big bad rapist.
Oh my God.
That's what her account is. That's how the account reads.
And then her family members, her boyfriend at the time.
She says she had a boyfriend at the time. Yeah. They all claim
that she told them about when it happened, and then multiple times following after. So
right. So now the thing about it after that is that they still, for whatever reason, decided not to press charges, and throughout the year she even auditioned to have gigs where she'd be working with him. She auditioned to be his wife in some show. Yeah. So it's murky. Who knows? Obviously, the truth is going to be somewhere, but what she says, and he issued a stern denial.
He did.
That looks, in my opinion, like it wasn't thought out very well.
Well,
or assisted with counsel, and I don't mean just a legal counsel. I mean life counsel, the counsel of friends and people that know you and everything like that. Because so in the article, that's the meat and potatoes of the article, yes. Right? But the main thing about the article is that then it talks about three, one of them being Whitney Cummings. Because you know how in that one podcast, Brian admitted that the one time he pulled out his dick, and which is a weird thing, and Whitney does roll with it in that regard, and it does seem a little bit hypocritical. But
she
whatever.
Has a history of hanging out with weird dudes.
But whatever, right? Like I don't know what kind of relationship or friendship they have, or whatever, right? So that's the other one, right, out of the four. Then there's this other one where it's just a girl that was the apparently some kind of stylist.
Oh, okay.
That worked at like Saks Fifth Avenue or Bloomingdale's or something like that.
Oh, that's right. Okay, this one was weird. Weird.
And that she was helping him put on clothes, and he kept coming out in his boxers.
The next day he came back.
And the next day he came back, and he pinned her against the wall.
Hold on, what did he come back wearing?
Speedos.
Speedo.
Yeah.
Speedo. This sort of animal.
And it kind of matches what the other girl said about being pinned against the wall. So who knows? Weird. But so evidently that never escalated beyond that. The girl, and then the last one is a girl who apparently had a 4-year affair with.
Is this the other comic?
No, this is a girl that was. Well, I don't know if she's a comic or not, but this is a girl that worked at. You're right. Okay, so that's that is the fourth one. So Whitney would be the fifth. So there's this girl who, when he was doing some shitty show in New York or something like that, he hooked up with this chick who was a barista at a coffee shop, who was an aspiring actress. And so, of course, he took advantage of that. She says, and this one sounds like she says everything was consensual, but that after years of therapy, that she's come to realize that she was taken advantage of and predated upon because he was in a role of a mentor and all this bullshit. I just disagree. Age of consent, age of consent. Majority of age is majority of age. And a 23-year-old that's dating a 40-year-old knows that she's 23 and that he's 40. So she could have just, 4 years this carried on. So I kind of think that, again, we go from rape to jilted lover in the same article, right? Right. Now, the one that's gross as fuck too is the one you were alluding to, which is the one with the comedian.
Right.
Yeah, evidently. Yeah. So that one, she ran into Callan, she says, at some gig. And he knew that she had been having trouble. She had just gone through divorce. She was having trouble with money. And that Callan basically offered her money for a blowjob. And that she was like,
And stage time.
Strong.
And stage time.
And stage time, yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know. And then I don't know if you saw, but there was a fighter in the kid from last week with Mark Sanchez, the quarterback.
No.
Yeah, it was good. It was a regular episode, but they yanked that shit right off as soon as the LA article came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it disappeared from all the platforms.
Poor Mark Sanchez. That's probably some good press for him.
He was probably like, "Look, Shaw, I love you, man, but I can't. I don't want a part of this. This has nothing to do with me, man."
Well, and like, right. So what you're kind of alluding to, his statement that appears no counsel was a part of, right? Because in that statement, he talked about how yesterday, Saturday, there would be a special podcast release of him giving his side, or I mean, just something, right?
Yep.
Speaking about it, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
There was just radio silence. So it's either Schaub got to him and said, "Listen, man, you can't use the studio. You can't sink the ship any further," or someone counsel, whether it's life counsel or he got a lawyer involved.
Well, because you see that also the conspiracy is about Rogan, right?
What about him? Since he's in Texas?
The big media companies are retaliating against all Rogan's associates because Rogan basically sidestepped all the big media companies and was able to get all this money independently from an alternative source that's non-traditional.
Maybe.
And that they cannot stand it. Evidently, Rogan had a lot of offers from like.
I mean, D'Elia is not really all that close to Rogan. I mean, Callen obviously is.
Well, they said they're coming, and they already hit Joey, and Joey is close.
Yeah, but I mean,
so who knows?
Joey was a ticking time bomb in that regard with the way he talked and the way. Joey's a product of a bygone era.
Yeah. But also, that was his own content. Yeah, so it's a weird thing that it's like, you said this about you. Yes, I did. It's such a fucking juvenile. Yeah. Yeah.
So in that regard, good luck with Joey. Brian Callen, where he tries to come off as this intellectual. I was about to say pseudo-intellectual.
No, and I mean, you don't know if his wife knew that he had that affair with that other girl.
Well, I think they're already divorced.
Yeah, but that's not gonna. I mean,
well, sure. Now that it's publicized. Was that show School still going? School, his show?
No, but they were going to bring back the Goldbergs because School did well. And they already axed his ass from the Goldbergs reboot.
Yeah. And you got to imagine Shaw is... I mean, it seemed like everyone left D'Elia. And right, this is only 2 days after it happened. But there's really been no comment about it. I saw Sam Tripoli said something about it, defending him.
Oh, yeah, he did. So one of the things that the girl said that dated him, the affair, she said that at some point during their relationship that he had said to her on several occasions that all women had a fundamentally natural instinct to be raped.
Oh my yikes! Oh my god!
Yep. They all had a desire.
That is disgusting.
That's a problem. Is that there's some of the tidbits that are being repeated from one person to the next. They do fall into a pattern,
right?
And it's just a shitty thing. And yeah, I know the times were different and all that other shit. And again, like I said,
no time is right for
I wouldn't want to have anything that I used to say when I was 16 years old publicized, let alone.
Yeah, but he's 70. No, I'm kidding. He's old, not that old. But
these are 30-year-old allegations.
So he was 30.
No, he was 20. He was in his 20s. In his mid-20s.
Okay, I'm in my mid-20s. I'm not going around telling women that they have a fundamental desire to be raped.
No, I get it. I understand that, but you do grow up and you do evolve. That's true. Who you are when you're 25 is not who you are when you're 35 and when you're 45 and when you're 55.
That's fair.
So, yeah. So and I have also had experience with women that make a mistake, and it's really easy. It's not really easy, but I saw it done in college where a girl would have sex with somebody where we were all aware of it, and it turns out that she told her boyfriend something else because once she was sober, she decided she didn't really want to break up with a boyfriend. And I mean, the shit like that happened as much as the actual sexual assaults, because I saw those too, and there was people that we had to turn in. I mean, it's part of. Unfortunately, it's a part of life, but I don't know, man. I wouldn't want some of those things being floated about me.
Never.
Yeah, that's like. I mean, it's a little bit like to me, it's like domestic abuse. Just the mention of it is so. At the very least, you have terrible judgment. Because let's say you're innocent, but you at some point picked a person that would say those things about you with them being untrue. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, maybe you did get rough one time. Much worse scenario, you do have it in you to get a domestic, like it's not good. Like to me, I'm immediately like, it shuts me on. Like I'm done. It shuts me off. That's what I mean. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, like, I was gonna say out, and then it came back on. That's fine. But yeah, no, like I just feel shut down. Like I'm like, dude, I can't fucking even have. It's so emotionally charged because it doesn't make any sense. There's a kid that I used to train with at Master Toddy's. His name is Cody Gonsalves.
Do we want to be given his name if we're talking to him?
But it's all over Facebook, and he's wanted by the police. So
okay, then. So
I don't frankly care. And he's wanted by the police because he beat the shit out of his girlfriend.
So fuck this guy, is what you're saying.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Allegedly.
I don't know what happened. I saw pictures on Facebook from people that are in different circles of my life. People that I knew here and here and over here and over here. And it's all around. It's circulating on Facebook. He beat up the girl, and he's part Native American from some tribe that's in Montana. And after the arrest warrant was issued, he fled to Montana.
Oh, wow.
So, again, I don't need to know the specifics of that situation to sort of lean in a certain direction with my opinion. You know what I mean?
Though, it's kind of a smart move to leave Montana. I didn't know that was a thing someone that is, I guess, probably a registered Native American can do. Because they're so
I don't know
I don't know how that works either. I mean, because I don't know anything about this, but
is a domestic battery a felony? It has to be, right?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah,
I would hope so. I know someone has to get arrested when they call for domestic violence.
But yeah, man, yeah. So that also happened.
Ooh, that was dark.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I feel
well, it's a shitty thing. I mean, look, man. The reality is that we have to do much better as men raising men.
Yeah.
Just as a fucking society.
Yeah.
We just have to do better. We have to do better, and it's harder than ever because we need them not to be cowards, and we need them not to be bullies. We need them not to be bullied. And so it's
almost like a negative feedback loop, right? Because we're in a space where it's already so hard for children to be parented properly, and that just kind of continues the pattern, and it's a very hard cycle to break. And
unfortunately, society is not the part where we force people to buck up is not keeping up with the progressive policies that are being forced down people's throat. So there's no balance. It's swinging in the wrong direction. I agree that there's certain things that need to be instituted because we're evolving as society, right. But I don't think that means diminishing of other things that also need instituted. Some kids do need to be pushed a little bit by the coach in PE class. Now, does that mean he should smack him in the back of the head and make him feel like shit because the other athletic kid can catch the ball? No, it doesn't. Right. But it's not. There's got to be an ebb and flow, and we're not at a point yet. I think because this is also new that we're acknowledging.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. It's almost like we're trying to overcorrect.
Yeah, and we are. Yeah. We're in a period. I feel that way as a dad. I feel like we're in a period of overcorrecting. But I also feel one thing that I've always felt my entire life, which is if you're respectful and if you are communicative in a respectful manner with society, it really doesn't matter what your thing you're into is. The problem is not being able to have civil discourse with people and not having, and sometimes you have to acknowledge that you may be in the minority. Like, for instance, this is, the guys that tattoo their necks. As soon as you put that tattoo on your neck, bro, I know idealistically it shouldn't matter. You should be able to be the manager of the bank. Not going to happen yet. We ain't there yet. So know that as soon as you do that, they're not going to give you that job, dude. Like, they're not going to give you that freaking job. And that's okay. Because obviously, however, you're right. By virtue of you tattooing your neck, you have certain calculations that go into your mind that factor your character, your upbringing. Yeah. So where you're saying yourself, fuck that job, right? Yeah, a little bit. And it's okay. Yeah, and I don't think you should be treated like a lesser person, by the way. But don't expect such radical change to come when you know that when you go outside, 99% of people don't have their damn tattoo on their neck. Because that means that's not the norm. Sure. And it's okay. Yeah, totally. Like the norm used to be to shun you over the tattoo. Right, yeah. We're not there anymore. Yeah. Can we be happy for now?
30, 40 years ago, what I have on my arms is a lot more
aggressive.
Yeah. Much more aggressive. And now
instantly aggressive.
I mean, look at me, I'm a nerd that has tattoos, whatever.
That's it. You know, so and it's the same thing with the way the females dress. You know, like is that famous line of like, oh, let me guess, you went to the store and you said, let me try that on so nobody will look at me. Well, no, you want somebody to look. You just don't want an ugly motherfucker to look. I mean, like, because you're not just dressing for you.
But sometimes they are, though.
Sometimes they are, yes. I mean, but it's disingenuous not to acknowledge.
Sometimes they are, right? Like,
and it's okay. Yeah. By the way, I'm for it. Let me just go on record. But you know what I mean? Like, but that's the thing, is that some motherfuckers were so goddamn crass and disrespectful to a girl in a miniskirt for so goddamn long that now she's like, don't fucking look at me anymore. Yeah. But she's still wearing the goddamn skirt. And we're forgetting the part of the conversation where I go, hey, well, you know, the Chris Rock bigger and blacker, you are wearing a hosed uniform though. You know, like so well, yeah, you know, I'm just saying that, listen, plenty of good girls. Halloween comes around and it's like, sure, they have permission to dress in a manner they would never dress. What is that? Now, I'm not calling it slutty, but there is clearly a desire to experiment with a side of that, sure, of the styling or the attire that is more provocative or whatever you will, and I think it's cool. I mean, you know, like around, like in a perfect world, like they could do that whenever they wanted and nothing would ever adversely happen to them. Yes, yeah, no, absolutely, kind of absolutely. The Brian Callen assault allegations. Oh, Jesus, unfortunately, that's the reality of the world we live under. And his kids are like 10, I think, dude. Like, and he has a daughter. Like, this is fucked. I mean, listen, you know, maybe if you have some of those skeletons in your closet, I think maybe the best thing to do is to at least make an effort to fucking reconcile with some of them. Because especially for somebody that's in the public eye like that, like you might as well, because it seems like Joey Diaz. That's true. Yeah. But again, no one dropped dime on Joey. Yeah, that's true. It's a big difference in the way that it was easier for Joey Diaz to grab onto his nuts, dude, and come out in front of it and say, sure, what's up, bitches? Yeah. Because he did it to himself. No one outed him. They didn't hack his cloud. Right. The conspiracy says Ari's next, and then for sure Shab is coming. Now, I don't think... I don't know no more. Well, I would hope Shab is not rapey. I think he's just stupid. And he landed with the wrong ass fucking loose-lipped women. That would be my hope. Side note, did you see Ari Shaffir was hooked up to a lie detector test and asked if he respected Brendan Schaub as a comedian? And he said no. Oh, shit. Okay, side note. I didn't. I got to look it up. Hilarious. Was that on the Legion of Skanks? Or It was. They were like doing like this whole presidential campaign thing. Very funny. Legion of Skanks are very funny. That's funny, dude. That has to be Luis Gomez that came up with that question. Luis J. Gomez, please. Yeah. Side note. He's so salty about Schaub. And you know what the fucked up thing is? He's not funny. He's funny in the podcast, but his stand-up's not funny. Yeah. And like, whereas Schaub seems to have done a good job of surrounding himself with people that can get things done for him, it seems like Gomez has done a better job of doing those things a little bit more self-started, right? Yep. Almost like a but I mean, he's more a successful podcaster and broadcaster than he's comedian. Yeah, but like in terms of comedy, he's still a better comedian than Brendan. I don't think that. I kind of think they're even. Is what I'm saying. Like if this was a fight, you guys are fighting to unanimous. You guys are fighting to unanimous. So I don't care who's better. You guys decide who's better. There has to be like a roast battle between them. Yes. I think it'd be interesting because Jay Gomez likes to get aggressive, and at the end of the day, he knows. And Brendan doesn't get aggressive at all ever. Well, and if he had to, he's gonna beat the fuck out of somebody. Registered weapon. We should try to broker that deal. Well, and like Gomez is 0-1 in slapbox fighting against Jeremiah. No, he also did fight. He had that one MMA fight. That's true. With I forget who he fought. So he is game. He fought Donovan from the Legion of Skank. I know he did a slap. So the only reason I know that is because every once in a while I listen to Bisping's podcast. Oh, okay, yeah, and he's on. Yes. And so that's why I get a good cross section of his hatred for Schaub, because that's also a comedy and MMA podcast. Right. Yeah, and he can fly that he can play that angle. They East Coast versus West Coast. They toe the line. Like it's like back and forth, and because like at some point Schaub was like, "Well, I just don't think you can have chemistry on Skype. It's just weird." Blah blah. Which I kind of agree with. Sure, but because they've been doing it forever. Exactly. So it's almost like sometimes you can tell that Bisping and Louis J will attribute things to them that when I hear it in the podcast, it doesn't seem like, I don't even think that he's talking about them, but then when they hear it, it's like, oh, did you hear this little cunt? Like, dude, I don't think they was talking about you, but whatever.
For Bisping and Brendan to get into a verbal wits, Bisping would destroy him.
Yeah, I think Brendan would back off
very quickly.
I also don't think Brendan would ever hit Bisping knowing he only has the one eye.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm talking verbal wits.
Yeah, I know, but with Bisping, everything ends in him kicking your ass. I mean, like, that's the final word every time.
But hold on, back to the Ari Shaffir thing, because like, Ari Shaffir kind of got canceled after Kobe died. Do you not remember this? So everybody,
listen.
I don't even know if you can find this
listen. Here's the thing: growing up in Mexico City. In 1986, there was a devastating earthquake where a lot of people passed away, a lot of buildings fell down. The next day, in grade school, there was already jokes about the goddamn earthquake.
Of course.
So I get it, and I sympathize.
Let's follow him, right? So the day, I think it was the day Kobe Bryant died, in fact. The day Kobe unfortunately perished in a tragic helicopter accident along with his daughter. Ari Shaffir, who is known, has a history of making fun of people who die. Of when they die, he roasts them. He's known for going on Twitter. That's his thing. He likes being edgelord, being edgy. So he goes on like an Instagram story or an Instagram live, just laughing, hooting and hollering about the fact that Kobe died. Talked about how he was a rapist. Talked about how his Bucks can actually do well and how the Lakers are garbage. Just really over the line stuff. But that was the point of what he was doing. And as you can imagine, the Twitter world, did not appreciate Ari Shaffir going after Kobe Bryant. And he locked down his Twitter. He went silent on social media for a couple of weeks. I mean, even a month. But then he's back.
Another thing, the thing about Ari is that I don't think he's big enough to get canceled.
Sure, exactly.
Because he's such a fringe comic and successful at what he does as far as his brand.
Right, no, and his fans.
The people that are going to go watch him, you're not going to convince them over this to stop going. Right. And he ain't out there trying to get more fans. Because he's fine. He lives cheaply. He makes good money for what he does. Right. So I don't know. I think it's definitely and Kobe wasn't cleared.
I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, no. Listen. The allegations. First of all, I'll go on record right now and say that I think anal sex is disgusting. I'm a straight man.
So we'll put that in record for the annals of the beast.
Yes, put it on the annals of the beast that this beast does not like the annals. You know what I'm saying? I don't get down with the annals, dude. Now, at the time when the accusation came in, all right, and I'm not an expert at this, but this woman had gotten stitches from anal sex that she was not very consenting of. And that was the allegation. Now, I don't know if that's a common occurrence with those of you practitioners of the annals, but it doesn't sound like it's a very sustainable practice if you have to get stitched up every time you do the annals. So
stop saying it like that.
So when Ari says some things about Kobe, people sometimes get really, and now he was, in my opinion, a redemption story because he righted his marriage with his wife. He came out and admitted to a certain degree that he did have sex with a girl or not. Once they were in there, who knows what the fuck happened? I mean, who knows? But it's funny. To me, it's funny. I get it. Listen, people have every right to get angry.
Sure, totally.
And to react that way.
Totally.
I personally find comfort in funny out of the worst tragedies like that.
I do too. I just don't necessarily think like that. I think there are people who have a very sentimental attachment to Kobe Bryant.
And that's the other thing is that it's different when you're in the public view like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's different telling your buddies jokes like that.
Two friends at your house in the privacy, you say some irreverent shit and you're just trying to one up each other and be stupid and laugh. We have 3 brothers. We say some dumb shit, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I would expect an overhearing person at a restaurant to be okay with some of the things that I would say in absolute privacy.
Sure.
I think the majority but again, this should not be news to most people. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is news to some people. So yeah, man, it was so we'll see. We'll see what happens with the whole Rogan sphere. I think a lot of people gotta be scrubbing files, getting rid of phones, changing account names, perhaps restricting and blocking a whole bunch of people in the socials.
Not only that, trying to figure out your move to Texas so you can go be with him in Austin, right?
PR's got to be making money out of T5K right now, man. Got to contain.
Well, and like the two people that do the podcast, Chin and Kat, right? Those are your two names for the people who are on the show. The
producers.
The producers. That's the word. Thank you. Sorry, you guys got fucked twice now. First was like the Rona thing, being exposed to Rona and kind of being forced to go into the studio, right? I mean, maybe they agree to it, but when your bosses are outspoken about how they think it's garbage and how you're kind of forced to the position regardless of what you believe. I mean, right? Chin was wearing face masks in videos, so we know
and Chin got it bad too.
Oh, he ended up getting it too.
Oh yeah. Oh, Chin wasn't back to the studio last week still. Yeah.
That's fucked up. Well, I hope he's getting that.
Kat got tested and she never got it, so she's good. But Kat's like 23 or 24 years old. She's way younger than all of them too. So, and Theo never got sick.
Well, he's got so many natural immunity.
Natural bacterials. He's got them bacterials, boy. Yeah. But, and then the other guys didn't get sick. Chappelle Lacey didn't get sick.
Sure.
Derek didn't get sick. So who knows? Who knows what'll happen with that show and all that. And also it's going to test the sponsors, because it's not like they have blue chip sponsors, but they're still kind of large sponsors, and what's going to happen with that. And then Rogan, who never even addressed the D'Elia shit.
No, never.
Who knows what, like, okay, I don't know if he can just stay quiet.
Well, and like, right, at least with D'Elia stuff, like, I never got the impression, I mean, like, sure, D'Elia's been on the show with Rogan, but like, they don't ever seem like close.
They don't seem as close, but with Callan and
D'Elia, those two are...
Yeah, but he also didn't say anything about Joey. He barely mentioned it a couple of podcasts ago. But
and do you think his strategy was just to kind of ignore it entirely?
I mean, you can only do that for so long and so many times is the thing.
Yeah.
Like one friend, but all of your inner circle, and you have hundreds of hours of podcasts with each one of them, or collectively.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
The memes are really good.
They're hilarious.
The one of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell as D'Elia and Callan. Yeah. The internet's undefeated.
We'll see, man. I can't wait for the next podcast. I'll tell you that. It's going to get a ton of downloads.
And it will. Absolutely.
Yeah. Who knows what'll happen. But so in fight news, let's move on from the darkness to the light. That is violence. Violence with fists, violence with strikes.
Legal violence.
Sanctioned. Consensual. Very important. The consensual part is, I guess, it's primordial, really. So, first of all, we forgot to touch on this. This is big news for me. You can see I'm wearing an old school boxing shirt. This is Julio Cesar Chavez, El Gran Campeón Mexicano.
Junior, right?
Fuck you. I'll smack you right now.
I thought you were the biggest junior fan.
So it was announced. Iron Mike Tyson will be fighting Roy Jones Jr. and I will watch.
In an exhibition.
I think you motherfuckers are predatory. That price point, I heard $49.
That is
$49. You 52 and 54. Well played, because you got me. Oh, you got me good. Also, that one kid's gonna fight. The YouTuber
Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson, who's a former NBA player.
Good freak fight.
Agreed. Totally agree. I'm in.
What can I say? I would have paid like 20 for his fight. This is how I rationalize the Tyson fight, because I paid for I paid for the zone. And last time Jake Paul fought, fight? Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not degenerate.
You is.
So yeah, of course I watch it. I got that shit.
You watch both?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. But so I'm excited. I'm really crunk about that. And then bare knuckle fighting. You guys know Beasts. This show we're gonna promote bare knuckle, because maybe one day.
There another one coming up soon?
Oh, they just announced a fire card, son. Thiago Alves. He's gonna fight. And Kendall Grove is going to fight Hector Lombard.
Oh, I know that.
Woo! It's going to be so sweet. It's going to be Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. Wow. See that freak? I'm sure they have a loose testing.
Oh, the looses.
The looses of testings, man. No, there's some good fights. I got to actually pull it up, because it was we're going to have to definitely get into that. Oh yeah, that's right. So Thiago Alves is fighting Phil Baroni.
The Baroni Man.
Phil motherfucking Baroni. It's going to be beautiful, man. I cannot wait. They're signing some good guys. Dude.
Well, they're 5-round fights, right? Are they all 5 or are they 3 rounds?
The championships are 5.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's like MMA then in that regard.
Like MMA, yes, sir.
10-point muscle system then as well.
They do have it's easier to score it because it's boxing. It's more like boxing, you know. So let's see, fight card coming soon. Oh, they don't have the full fight cards just yet. But yeah, they're signing some good guys, man. Again, it's giving those guys. I like the fact that these are guys that are still like they used to be like Thiago Alves was a title contender, top echelon fighter, right? Amazing Muay Thai fighter. Yeah. Maybe you don't want to be taking a full ass whooping in MMA, and this thing with a being just. It seems. I know this is crazy. It seems safer.
Sure. Yeah.
They have a lot less to worry. Yeah, like
there's no kicking, there's no jiu-jitsu, there's just
exactly. If you have,
and you can't punch that hard, otherwise you're going to break your own hand. So there's kind of a built-in limiter in that regard. And
you could get lucky and murk a couple of guys in the first round and make a ton of money and have not a lot of damage. So I don't know. And they're good marquee fighters. They're getting all the dudes that have always been athletically freakish, right? Yeah, which is good because that's what you want to see bare knuckle fighting, right? Dudes that look like movie gladiators.
Exactly.
So,
perception in that.
Yeah,
regard.
Man. Yeah. So I'm pretty stoked about that one. And of course we have Stipe and DC coming.
Well, I mean, hold on. Let's talk about
finishing that shit up.
Let's talk about this past week in UFC, and then we'll move
on. I must confess something to the beasts.
You didn't watch it, did you?
I had a TV that was primordial to this watch, the one in my room. It died, and I cooked for like 12 hours yesterday.
It.
I needed to be in bed, man. And then I have an iPad, which is, by the way, fucking. I had an iPad tell me that it's too old to run the ESPN app.
That's hysterical. You don't have the most updated version iOS software then.
No, I do. It said the iPad itself.
So then you have the highest updated iOS system for the iPad, is what that means.
Yeah. That's such bullshit. A stream. The only thing doesn't stream. Amazon, no problem. Netflix, no problem.
Seems like at that point you should look into jailbreaking the iPad.
I don't know what that means, man.
So when you jailbreak an iPad or an iPhone, it is a specific term that voids your warranty. It's something that you do to your phone, and it kind of unlocks your phone. So then you start using kind of unofficial app stores, and allows you to do a little bit more stuff with your phone, and allows you to be a little bit you're still using the iPhone platform, but you're not as locked into some of the mechanics that Apple locks you in. Oh. But with this iPad, since it's already making you upset, it seems like this might be something you should look into.
I might just buy one too. Well, yeah. But anyway, so this morning I ended up going to Walmart to buy a television to replace the television that went out because our TV went out.
How much is a TV these days?
Well, I was gonna spend. How
much were you willing to spend?
I thought it was like $300 because it's only a 32-inch TV. So it's not a very big TV. It's in my room.
I feel like, okay. Yeah.
32-inch. And so last couple of times it was like good deal for $200, mostly like $300. And I found one at Walmart. At the second Walmart I went to, which was the last one I was willing to go to, I found it for $148. It was like $160 with tax out the door. Replaced it, hung it, boom, got it done. So that was pretty good.
I did not watch the fights.
I watched the Vicente Luque fight right before you got here.
Ooh, okay, cool.
Beautiful calf kicks, man. Jesus.
Well, and then you should go back and watch the Leonardo Venata versus the Bobby Green fight because that was a rematch of a draw. And, I mean, I would love to watch them fight once a year, every year. It was just
they went nuts.
They just went at it.
I'll watch it later.
It was an exciting fight. Vicente Luque looking so good. Those leg kicks, dude.
Yeah, no. Those calf kicks are beautiful, man. Beautiful. I mean, that's what opened up the first knockdown.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first knockdown came with that overhand right. The only reason that landed is because the calf kick had landed so many times already. And I was listening to the commentator. I think it was Paul Felder, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure Felder. It was.
But that's what I was saying is that when you do that calf kick right, it doesn't even have to be hard. You know, because if the movement of your opponent is going against the direction that you're going to kick into, you really just have to place it. And it lands so heavy. And you could see the damage. I mean, every time he landed after receiving that calf kick. And at the same time, you bait him to kicking. And Lucas' checks were on point. So I watched the other guy just crumble. And right when he stopped falling for the outside leg kick, he kicked him on the inside.
It was beautiful. It was so good.
And there's nothing I love that a guy that can kick the inside leg without doing a crazy, obvious switch. You know, where you could just pop it up and just curve it right in. It was a good fight, man.
I was watching it with a brother Ricky, and he was asking me, why isn't this guy just switching stance if this guy is just keep attacking his lead leg? And maybe you can speak a little bit to that. Why?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't switch stances yet. We're still in the infancy of switching stances. And look, man, the reality is that once you're at the UFC level, it's very difficult to institute a change like that.
Sure.
Because
everyone else is such a high level that the consequences.
Yes. And it's mostly a risk defensively. Because as soon as you switch the stances, if your defense isn't sharp, thinking from that mirrored perspective, the learning curve is it can be very steep.
Well, but it does seem like that's a skill that now is going to become required for the top, right? Max, Alex, masters at going from this to this.
I haven't done anything strike wise in my training. I haven't done it without switching for at least 6 years, and I'm a civilian. Right. I won't do one back session without switch stances and hitting from both sides. You have to work on single punches from both sides, distances from both sides, transitions from one stance to the other one on both sides, with transition punches added to the transition of the feet. It's a whole thing, but I just think it's still in its infancy. I think Dominic Cruz and TJ Dillashaw and John Jones and Israel Adesanya are showing us what that can look like. But I think that it's still in its infancy. You know, still coming. I do think that it's I think it's a necessary skill set. Yeah, I would agree with that totally. Let's move on to this next fight, because I think maybe next week this should be the fight that we have our special jiu-jitsu correspondent come in and break down. It was Joanne Calderwehr, number 3 for the UFC flyweight division, possibly the next fighter for Valentina. While Jennifer Meyer says, nuh-uh, let me snap up your arm. Armbar. It was a beautiful armbar where... Is Jennifer Meyer related to Demian? No, she's not. Me and Ricky had this... We Googled it. Okay. But JoJo took her down. She was on top and kind of in the scramble of transition. She got caught. It was the first round, right? Jennifer Meyer, not ranked. Short notice fill-in. Dana White has... It kind of speaks to the depth. Well, sure, totally. Well, right, and like Valentina already came out and said Jennifer. I saw. And Dana White confirmed that, so that appears to be. The that's cool though. That feed Valentina some mo. Yeah, for sure. It's a fresh face. She comes out hot, like you said. The division isn't the thickest, the deepest. Yeah. Cool. But it was a great fight. Yeah, I would definitely maybe that might be the next fight for our special correspondent. Yeah, he's got 5 dinosaur facts today. I'm excited. Yeah, it's gonna be great. That will be great. And then in the main event, he did his hair, as you can tell. I did see that. He's gonna be looking real proper for the people. And then in the main event, we had Derek Brunson over. Do you want me? I guess I'm just gonna. He TKO'd him, right? Yeah, second or third round. Third round TKO over Edmund Shabazian, who is Edmund Tarvarian's only protege at this point. It looked like Derek Brunson was just a man beating up a prospect. Up a prospect. Well, I mean... Just the veteranness. He looked great. I mean... Yeah. He looked very good in his last fight. But... Well, no, he looked good in the first round. But that training camp's always going to be suspect to me. As far as quality, I think that trainer's a snake oil salesman. You know, I don't... Well, and great. I don't think he's a good trainer. I think he put Ronda Rousey in some situations she shouldn't have been in. And I think she was underprepared, and I kind of think that as a striking coach, that was his fault. Speaking of Ronda Rousey, sorry, I just want to bring this up. I was seeing some conspiracy theory about how the Betch Carrera, is that how you pronounce her last name? How that was just a total work. That was a total job on Betch's part. And that Ronda may not know, but because it was in Brazil, the way Betch falls face first, plants into this canvas, that could have been possibly a work. Now, I think Betch is just a horrible fighter. I think that's a little bit simpler. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit simpler of a tale. I mean, she's also the fighter where the 10-second clock went down and she thought the round was over and took unanswered shots because, I don't know, it's her first time fighting. Yeah, no, I don't think that supports that theory based on what the ladies that later on beat the shit out of Ronda. Betch was just not that person. Right, no, and she's never appears to be even close to that. No, that was just how you got the big badass American champ girl to defend her championship in a market that was exploding at the time, because that's around the time that Chael had already done his monkey bit with the whole thing in Brazil. So if you remember, Brazil was hot for a minute. We were doing like big fights there, and there was a lot of influx of Brazilian fighters. We're kind of at a stalemate from huge Brazilian stars.
Well, we're in a campaign of international stars right now, just pandemic, right?
Well, no, I feel like European stars are coming up. We got a lot of European people and Russian people, and
let's talk about this overall card back in Vegas, right? Because this is the first card back in America after having a month, I think 6 cards straight in Abu Dhabi. So, right, last week in Abu Dhabi, we had 15 fights on the card. This week, there were so many pullouts. There was several people tested positive for the corona. We had a fighter faint prior to his fight in the back, and the commission canceled the fight. There were 8 fights on this card. Nearly half compared to the week before. And we had more fights that were scheduled for this card that either canceled or fizzled out than there were actual fights on this card. That's a wild thing to think about. That just shows kind of the age we're living in and how unpredictable it is.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But also, maybe stay in Abu Dhabi because it seemed to work a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, it's only sustainable for so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think also as long as they don't take... It's a good option.
Sure.
They still have it. It's already been tried, true, and tested, right? So if you need to, you can move shit now, but with a couple postponement arrangements there, you can move it back. So it's an option for now because we still don't know what's going to happen now. I think Nevada is, in my opinion, starting to get shit under control because
hopefully,
we're not seeing the hot button issues that we're seeing in some other hotspots with this, so hopefully we're closer and closer to a vaccine just in general, and people can start getting back to doing their shit.
Well, I'm like, I mean, even if we do get a vaccine in 6 months from now, like, right, there still becomes a transition period back into whatever that looks like, right? I mean, schools, works, businesses, like, it's just
yeah. Well, and again, like I we're saying at the beginning, I've had friends that are really fucked up with this virus.
Sure.
One of my friends battled it for 2 weeks, and his wife is going on fucking day 14 of fever.
Wow, that's horrifying.
So much so that she even got like a blood pressure measurement thing for home and everything because she was feeling like numbness in an arm, and so. But then,
like there are friends who don't. I mean, they test positive, but they don't deal with
nothing. Exactly. So I just say, keep up your immunity.
Take your vitamin D, take your zinc, take your multivitamin.
Yeah. And your brain. You can't just consume fucking fear.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't just consume some silliness and some funny shit and a little bit of everything because, this is how I think a lot of these people that commit horrible violent acts in a mass setting, I think a lot of them they get to the end of the road partly because they get so stuck in one single circular train of thought, and
totally, and then they find those
and I don't think that's a rare thing. I think it's a human thing.
To find your own little echo chamber.
So if you don't develop a certain way to like get out of that way and get out and walk and get out and say hi to another person and not worry about what color of skin somebody has and just little exercises that can keep you just healthy in your brain, because it's clearly, I've lost a couple of friends since this whole thing started. I mean, it's substance abuse, some of it, but that's mental issues, right? Like that's mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's definitely rough, but hopefully we're getting it back together soon. In the meantime, the fight landscape I like.
Well, here, let's talk about this next week because August 8th is the next UFC card. And
is that the one with Justin in it?
That is the fight card with a certain Mr. Justin James.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
So it is headlined by Derek Lewis and Alexei Olenek.
Oh, nice.
Is good, but if you go back through Derek Lewis's record, like this guy basically almost loses his every fight. And like his last 8 fights, they're all incredibly close. And then he pulls out the win and he loses. It's true. That's true. It is exciting.
It's a Derek Lewis show.
You're right.
That's what we're tuning in.
In the co-main event, we have Chris Weidman versus Omari Akhmedov. I feel like I did a good job.
Yeah. So basically, we're talking about what's going to happen with Chris Weidman's rest of his career. Yeah. Because we already have our experiments. We're done with the experiment.
Yes.
We're done experimenting.
He went up to light heavyweight.
We're done experimenting.
Back at middleweight.
And we have really damaged knees.
Yana Kutsikaya fighting. Benil Dariush is fighting as the opener on the main event or the main card. That'll be exciting. Tim Means versus Laurinio Strapoli.
Oh, that's a good
That's
one.
a great fight. That's a sleeper fight. Well, I guess it's not sleeper. It's the feature bout.
Anytime Team Means fights, you can see some violent shit.
Strapoli is he's a fun fighter. He's a fun Italian fighter. Maybe I'm confusing him with Vicente Luque though in my head because they're both kind of Italian.
I don't think I've ever heard of this gentleman.
No, we have 100% talked about him. I know we have.
Strapoli?
Yeah, 100%. We talked about him with our former co-host.
Strapoli.
Well, he's.
That's why I didn't understand you. No.
So stupid.
Come to the Strapoli.
Yeah, and then in the prelims we have Gavin Tucker versus Justin James, and then opening the card. Do you remember this name? Erwin Rivera.
Nah.
He's the short little Mexican kid. Not kid. He's as old as me,
I'm sure. A grown man, I'm sure.
A grown man who could beat my ass.
Yes, certainly.
Certainly. He is the fighter who I think is... Let me see what division. They're fighting at bantamweight. So he came in at either a featherweight or a lightweight fight. Like 3 days notice. Doesn't look bad. He was just a dog in the fight, so I'm excited to watch him fight. That was his ability, his opportunity to get into the UFC. He ended up losing the fight, showed that he was a dog. This is his first real opportunity in the UFC, and that's exciting. So I'm
tremendous.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, man. Me too. Well, good, man. Good.
Well, shall we bring in our little special guest?
Yeah, let's take a little water break, and then we'll bring him in, and then we'll wrap up.
Cool. We're back on Hios de la Vista. No, I totally butchered that. De la Bestia? I don't know. Children of the Beast. We're back. We're back on the Children of the Beast. We have our special correspondent. Please introduce yourself.
My name is James. Today I will be the jiu-jitsu correspondent, and not only that, I'm also going to be the dinosaur correspondent.
Our dino expert.
Our dinosaur expert.
The official dinosaur expert of the Children of the Beast.
The official dinosaur expert of the Children of the Beast.
Let's show the people what you brought, please.
I brought a list of awesome dinosaur names. Since this is a list, I'm gonna tell you all of their names.
So I think this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna tell us one at a time, and you're gonna hit us with some facts, okay?
That's what I was gonna do.
Perfect. So go ahead.
First up is the Albertosaurus. It was first found in Alberta, Canada. And in Alberta, Canada, paleontologists found some of its bones of its head a long time ago.
Okay, so is this like a big dinosaur? Is it a small dinosaur?
It's a really... No, it's a meat-eating dino, and it was big, and it was in the family of the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh, okay, very cool.
But a little bit smaller.
So still pretty big though, because I mean a T-Rex is really big. Yeah, small
and
compared to a
not only
T-Rex.
that, the Albertosaurus also it didn't like eggs. It liked meat. And it liked to hunt other small dinos.
That makes sense because dinosaurs are meat. Carlos, do you have any questions about the Albertosaurus?
Very informative.
All right, let's move on to dino number 2.
Dino number 2 is the Incisivus. So the Incisivus had 2 buck teeth.
Oh, like...
Yeah. But flat, but it was a herbivore.
Oh, okay, so they eat plants.
And the reason it had those really flat teeth was to grind up the plants. Its favorite food was apples. It was small and really fast.
Okay, so...
Dino next, which is number 3, is the Troodon. The Troodon was a very fast omnivore. And that omnivore, not only that, well, on TV, I saw it was smart enough to sneak into a house.
Wait, hold on. I got a question here, buddy. There are houses when there are dinosaurs, or is this just on the TV show?
TV.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
And also, not only that, paleontologists think it was the smartest of every single dino.
Wow, okay. Very cool.
And then the next one on the list is a Stygimoloch.
Okay, tell us about the Stygimoloch.
Stygimoloch.
Stygimoloch. My apologies to the Stygimolochs out there that are listening.
The Stygimoloch had a really thick domed head that's thicker than a man's fist.
Wow, like a Brock Lesnar fist?
Yep.
Wow.
Why did you look at my head when you said that?
Is it bigger than his head?
Yes. It's a lot bigger than his head.
Okay, very good.
And it has a lot of spikes, a herbivore. To get past one Albertosaurus, it would use a burst of speed.
Oh, because it's faster and smaller. That makes sense.
And when it was facing two Albertosauruses, it would zig and zag and zig and zag to try to confuse it.
Sure, that makes sense.
And then when there's three Albertosauruses, it would back up and headbutt all three of them.
And then what's our last dinosaur?
And
Number
the
5.
last dinosaur is the Psittacosaurus. The Psittacosaurus' name means parrot lizard. And not only that, the Psittacosaurus was one of the only dinosaurs to use sharp tail quills for defense. And it was a herbivore.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it was very small. To stay cool, it would make a burrow. And that is the end of the list.
Well, hold on. Real quick, before we move on from your list, I just want to ask you a question. Because maybe there's somebody that's out there that's listening to our podcast that doesn't know what a paleontologist is. Can you explain to the people what a paleontologist is?
A paleontologist is someone who studies dinosaur bones. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't even know what a dinosaur is.
So it sounds like you're almost like our own paleontologist for us, right? Because me and your dad didn't know any of this, and you're
pretty much. And yeah, there's a lot of cool dinosaurs out there. Some of them I don't even know.
Well, you got a good list right here, a list of 5.
So you're gonna do 5 more next week?
Yes, and not only that, I just want to tell you 2 moves from the jiu-jitsu I do in my classes. So the first move, I want to tell you guys about the blood choke.
The blood choke, okay.
The blood choke starts with the person in a guard. A guard is when your legs are wrapped around him like this.
Sure.
And then
when you're on the bottom.
And then you grab the collar and grab the belt and roll, and then the opponent tries to turn away from you, wrap your hands around him and kind of tickle your toes a little bit, and then roll him over. And then once you have rolled him over, what you want to do is get on top of him, pull all the slack out, and that's when you do your hard choke. And then the last move today is going to be a slide. The slide is a very simple move. You have to be up on your feet in your jiu-jitsu stance. And then you grab the collar, pull him down, and then put your legs on his hips, your opponent's hips, and grab the heel. Put one down, give a big push and chop, and then give him a really tight hug.
Okay.
And that's the end of everything I'm saying.
Well,
goodbye. I hope you have a very good day.
Very good.
All right.
Very good.
Well, thank you.
Before you take your headphones off, remember you came up with a name for your segment?
Yes. And my name for my segment is Kids of the Beast.
Perfect. Well, it's fantastic. Wow. And with that, our Kids of the Beast segment has been ended. So, James, thank you for coming on.
You're
High
the
five.
official Kids of the Beast representative. Good job, sir.
Well done.
Thank you. No, bye.
One thing I would like to point out about our Kid of the Beast representative, his notes, just the names. I don't know if you're able to see that, but just the names. He did everything else from memory.
I know, dude.
That's incredible. He dropped that paleontology definition. He walked through all of his jiu-jitsu steps, locked in. Very impressive. What are you feeding that kid? Because I want some.
Motivation. I don't know anything about raising kids. And there's a reason that this podcast is called The Children of the Beast. I'm sure we'll get to that eventually. But I think I wanted to talk to you about this before we get into some current events.
Darkness.
Yeah, some darkness. The dark arts and the worst of Theo Von.
Belly of the
So
beast.
I always listen to our podcast, right? Because I want to learn and I want to hear the product and everything. And I was like, okay, I need to not curse so much. I need to like be like smarter in my efficiency to express myself. And I'm baiting myself to say the thing that is more inflammatory or more shocking. And I don't need to do that because I'm a grown man and you never know. We're living in a time where people get fucking accused of everything. And I have a life outside of this. And my best case scenario would be that this podcast gets huge and then I get goddamn canceled. And then it turns out I have a life outside of the podcast and that life gets canceled. And I don't need none of that. But at the same time, though, this is an artistic endeavor, and it's about growth.
Growing and better.
And so, because honestly, about 3 hours ago, I was in the car and I was thinking, you know what? I'm gonna have him send me the raw audio so that I can tell him what I need to edit. And I was like, well, no, don't be a bitch. For instance, there it is. I said that a lot in the last podcast. I called motherfuckers a little bitch. I said that's a little bitch move. And it's just not necessary.
It's not.
It's not necessary.
It's not.
But
I love this.
But it's also important.
This is great.
But it's also important to have that process recorded because it's so easy to chastise each other. I'm like, oh, so now you're a Christian? No, obviously there was like probably 20 steps, between like.
Get better every day.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally. No,
like the perspective is like, oh, so look who turned over a new leaf overnight. And by the way, if somebody did and they're better, what's the problem with that?
Right.
But anyway, so with James. He's been dead set on doing this every time, right? And so I was like, okay, well, you have to prepare, blah, blah, blah. What are you good? Because we didn't watch the fights. So I said, well, we didn't really watch the fights. And I think you should be ready. You had, on the last podcast, you said you were going to drop some knowledge about dinosaurs. So why don't you do like knowledge. 5 at a time and then we'll build from there. He's like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do on the Kids of the Beast. And then that's when Jamie and I looked at each other. I was like, oh shit, that's the perfect name for a segment.
So silly.
But what's funny about it is that like he's thinking about the podcast throughout the week.
Totally.
And he's like
me.
He's like that. He's like that with everything, and we don't. One thing we've done with our kids is we don't let them idle.
Sure.
I think that fucking like if it was up to me and I didn't have anything to do, I probably would just sit around playing guitar and drinking whiskey all day. If there was nothing else that I had to do. But I have to give myself tasks to do every day, and it starts at 2 a.m. and I work out and I run, and then I get to the office and I fucking delegate and I do what I need to do, and then I'm not trying to have my kids or my wife go to the store or anything right now, so then I have to run errands for the house. My lunchtime usually spent at Whole Foods or at Walmart or whatever, buying food and buying groceries and all that. And so with him, I just figured, okay, he's 6. He's been in swim lessons. He's been in tennis lessons. He's been in kickboxing and jiu-jitsu lessons since he was born, basically. Right. Swimming was the first thing. But the whole point is to have something every day. And so we've gotten finally to a point where Michael's leukemia treatment is far ahead enough where we're being able to plan our weeks a little bit better. And we ditched the gym, one of the gyms that we used to go to, and now he's taking tennis lessons at a different place, which turned out to be a great fucking difference because they train him so much better. But anyway, so Monday he does strength and conditioning. I leave a program here. He does. He has to give me a mile on the air runner. He does a mile on it.
Which, for those that don't know, it's a treadmill that adjusts automatically to how fast you're going. So it's not like you press it.
There's no motor in it. It's self-propelled. Yeah.
So if you're walking, you're just going to be walking.
Right. But also it's shaped a little bit at a concave curvature. Yeah. So that you can, in theory, it corrects your stride, even if you never were taught how to stride properly, which means you can run longer because you're not hurting yourself and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, he does a mile. He does a mile on that, and then he does strength and conditioning. Tuesday, his jiu-jitsu coach comes here and he does an hour of jiu-jitsu. Wednesday, he has an hour of tennis lesson. It's a private lesson. Right. On Thursday, he'll run again and do another workout. Friday, he usually swims, and anytime they swim, it's 110 degrees outside. So if they swim for an hour, like you fucking worked out. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So there's that, and then on the weekends, we're trying to make sure that we're hitting the bike. Like we went on a bike ride this morning. And I realized that in his mind, So why am I saying this? Because it sounds like rambling, and it is a little bit. But the reason I'm saying this is because last week, 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden he's obsessed with dinosaurs. The show Dino Dan and Dino Dana, loves the fucking show. Makes us Google shit, and he loves it. And so about 2 weeks ago, he started drawing them, right? And he's like, okay, so he's having Jamie print the thing of the internet. And then he traces it, and then he colors it, and then he puts a name of it, and then he gets a stapler, and he's making books.
That's awesome.
And because he's surrounded by business people, from me to our dad to our father, my father-in-law, like everybody is business owners. He's like, well, I'm gonna sell these books. I'm gonna have a bookstore, and I'm gonna sell these books. And so every day he's like, he'll walk into the dining room, and he's like, yeah, I still have a lot of work to do. I gotta finish up this book, and I still have to staple it. So I think I still have a little while to go, but I could eat my dinner over there, Mom. It's just a lot of work. Then at the end of the day, he'll come into my room and he'll be like, yeah, I'm tired. I put a lot of work in today. But he's like just self-developing the pride in working towards something. Yeah. And he's obsessive with it. Like today he fucking did a Lego that's for 7 to 15-year-olds. And he's like, yeah, I did that Lego. But he's like constantly upping it. So then when I watched
him about the Legos, that's awesome.
It's I mean, it's all good attributes to have. And that's, you know, and again, like I was saying about the video games, for me, there was nobody like saying it's good to be that way, but be that way towards different things. You know, it's okay to be that way with video games too, by the way, but be that way too with your fill in the blank, your schoolwork, your whatever,
you know.
It's a matter
of balance in anything you do.
That's it. And I think that the more we do that with him, we realize that, at least in my wife's experiences, you develop insecurities from specific moments in your life where you're stifled. And you're usually stifled by the wrong adult, because healthy adults don't ever need to stifle a child. Yeah. But everybody has to run into that one shitty adult that maybe all you needed was an acknowledgement at that time, not a put down, but you run into the worst music teacher or the worst whatever, fill in the blank.
Someone has a bad day.
Or somebody has a bad day. But here's the thing. I dealt with you as a child.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. And I've dealt with my kids as children. And
bad days.
there's bad days, but not bad days enough that I want to leave an imprint of a negative thing by putting a kid down.
Yeah, no, that's
and so I'm talking about putting down. First of all, as a human being, to put down another human being.
Yeah.
Unless there's some kind of a sub-context there of like an adversarial type of thing or something like that, it's already a weird thing, you know, which is why sometimes you go like, you know, you may be in a social setting and somebody is an asshole to somebody, like, the fuck was that guy's problem? Right. Were you like, oh, did they have beef? That's really what we're asking, you know, like, was there a predetermined thing that they had before, or did they just like happened, you know? And so I kind of think that with kids, it's a little bit of the same thing. And somebody's asking me about, because we'll let him do the blue hair. And I was like, well, a big part of that is because it was part of his birthday was in June, and he wanted that for his birthday, right? We're like, all right, well, whatever. And then school's not even starting. Now, I wouldn't let him go to school with that. Not because I have any shame in it, because I don't think you should put your kids in a situation where they have to defend themselves from a shitty adult and they haven't developed the tools to do it yet.
Sure.
I'd much rather him do wild shit with his hair when he's this age, and not show up with a neck tattoo at 16 because I never let him do shit. Yeah. So guess what he's gonna do? He knows a guy who's an apprentice. So it comes back around, baby. It's a circle. It's a circle. But yeah. So anyway, that's
no, that's interesting you bring up the hair thing, because like since I've done this now, I've had my hair like this for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and like just even the few times I do go out like to the grocery store and stuff, like I don't think I've ever been complimented this much on my hair, but I definitely have a sense of not paranoia, not like just awareness that more people are looking at me than they usually are. Usually I'm much more of an incognito person. I have my headphones in, I'm in and I'm out later. And just by virtue of, like, I just draw a little bit more attention, which makes sense. I mean, I'm walking around with green hair. Of course, if I saw someone with green hair, I'd probably look at them. I'd, not in a negative way, but just like, oh, that guy has green hair, whatever. So, and like, right, kids, when you're small, they can be mean. Or, again, you run into jerk of an adult that, again, you don't know, I can handle that much better than my 6-year-old nephew can, unquestionably.
Exactly.
Unquestionably.
Exactly.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
But his hair does look good. It inspired this, and it's gonna be.
And I couldn't give a shit. Listen, if you spoke to my son and he sounded like a kid that is not developing his social intelligence and his just human maturity in a timeline that I deem to be normal,
sure,
for lack of a better word. I hate that word because what the fuck is normal? But you mean like average, I guess.
Sure,
it's more then of course you notice, because we have friends that have kids that have autism, and then you started noticing at a certain age and different things like that. So, you know, it's fucking tough. It definitely isn't for everybody, you know, and I wish more people took having kids seriously. But I will say that I do consider that, for me personally, my understanding and my definition of love would have been incomplete if I went through this life without going through this.
Sure.
Challenges and all, I don't give a fuck. I'd do it all over again, because I personally, as a human being, me and my fucking trip in this goddamn world, I needed to have this experience.
Your meat bag on
I needed to have this experience, you know, like there's so that part of it is like,
well, and like I think a lot of parents would probably echo that, but it is true that there are some people where they maybe don't echo that, right? And it was maybe not. And it probably represents themselves in the parenting.
I think it's all emotional maturity. I think everybody at some point would, but biology doesn't allow you to set an unlimited timeline.
Sure, totally.
That's the best way I can articulate that.
No, I guess that's actually a great way to look at it, because it's unquestionably biological to want to procreate and have a family.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also sad a little bit, because men really have a huge window. You know, like we have such a huge. You could be dead set against it at 30, right? And then at 48, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna get you pregnant.
Joey Diaz.
And then you put a live one in there. Exactly.
Had a baby at what, 50?
Yeah, he was over 50. I don't know exactly the
squats. That's what
the
squats brought back the testosterone.
Yeah. He boosted that shit up. Joey Diaz. Oh man. Well, you know, this Joey Diaz thing, and he made it through his Me Tooing.
But yeah, let's go into
because it wasn't really a Me Tooing.
Let's go into the deep.
But now we got the fucking.
So
I mean, this is gonna be a controversial statement that I don't mean as making light, but it's true. Pedophilia is hot right now.
I'm not sure I would phrase it that way.
It's everywhere.
It's rampant.
It's okay,
rampant.
thank you.
I'm not gonna say what you just said.
Is it insane though? Like, I feel like I can turn my head in any direction, and
So earlier this week, the Miami Heralds, along with a rather controversial figure named Mike Cernovich, they were in the process of suing for some sort of Freedom of Information Act on Jeffrey Epstein emails and different files that the FBI had. Through this discovery process, I think the big media thing that's been amplified through it is the Alan Dershowitz stuff.
Yes.
I haven't really kept abreast of the aspect of it. But also within those files, you have eyewitnesses placing Bill Clinton on the island with 2 underage girls participating in orgies. Now, the quote didn't state that he was explicitly participating in orgies with underage girls, but as 2 separate statements that he was there, he participated in orgies, he was there seen with underage girls. Fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Fill in the blanks.
And let me tell you how the caveman in me hears it. No one knows that he did or didn't, but he was hanging out in the building where people were doing it. So imagine, ladies and gentlemen, that me and him have plausible deniability because we're being recorded, right? But in my house, 20 feet away.
No.
Well, that's the same thing.
I understand.
Like, how are you going to be like, well, we had no idea. We was in the garage podcasting, and we podcasted and casted, we pod. And that was it. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, let alone in a plane. Explain to me how more than 2 couples could be having sexual intercourse in an airplane without the entire... Yeah. I don't care what size airplane. If somebody fucking, I'm finding out. I'm just saying, dude. It's not an easy place. This is what I'm saying. Sure. Come on.
Of course, a Bill Clinton spokesman denied him ever even being on the island when we know there are flight logs. Prior to these files being released, we know there are flight logs placing Bill Clinton, the Clintons, right? We see there's pictures of Ghislaine at Chelsea Clinton's.
The wedding. Yeah. Oh, that's tough.
On top of that, it was also discovered or released that the FBI has been fielding complaints from these girls since as literally as 2014.
Yeah.
That's 6 years from.
Yeah.
And it's just.
Well, I already knew that. Have you seen? There's a lot of
there's a
documentary.
on it,
There's
right?
like 3, bro.
No, I can't. I try my best to keep abreast of the actual documents, but any sort of documentary that goes into it, it's very hard for me just because it's so evil. It's so
Well,
dark.
it is. And honestly, the only reason that I do it is because I run so much.
You need something.
It's easiest.
Yeah.
I don't even listen to podcasts when I work out anymore.
Sure.
Because since I'm working out at home and it's like my own treadmill or whatever, I just watch it. I always, the night before, I'm like, what am I going to...
Yeah.
I watched The Last Dance last week.
Oh, it's great.
Again.
Well, I want to touch about. Oh, never mind. I don't want to touch on.
Yeah, I watched it for the second time.
It was great.
But I watch it a third time because it's great. But no, I like watching a lot of documentaries, and I'm always looking for something I haven't seen yet. Because I run every single day, so you start running out of shit to watch. And I've watched all of them, and yeah, there was complaints for a long time, and it's
Well, and like the island stuff, the
it's
symbology on the island. Like I don't want to speak to that because I'm not smart enough, but ladies and gentlemen, do your research.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Terrifying.
Some of the stuff that they're talking about with the adrenochrome and all the abductions and I'm not a
satanic
I'm not a
rituals?
conspiracy
The
person,
temple?
but
The symbolism.
there's a lot there to unpack. And I sound like a broken record to people that know me, but I just think everything to me, and this is why I put so much emphasis on my kids. Everything boils down to the family structure for me to just like get the world to be a better place, as ridiculous as that sounds.
If only.
Because and again, I did say that a couple of podcasts ago, and I do think that the family definition needs to be restructured as a whole in the entire spectrum of society because there's a lot of different configurations of what a family is. But people, I think it boils down to having unconditional support from people that love you and you love back.
Yeah.
That's huge. That doesn't mean that bad things don't happen in nice families, because obviously they do. Right. They do.
Bad things just happen in general,
but we can recognize that there are certain patterns that make situations more prone to end up in certain catastrophic incidents. And if we can curb those, then we have to raise the self-awareness.
Right. The problem is I just don't know where some sort of I guess the best way would phrase it would be a family revolution, right? Because that's kind of what you're talking about, is this whole upheaval. Maybe not upheaval, because I think, but
well, and I think we're kind of living it, because there's one thing that I haven't heard as much as they told us we would hear. 2, actually.
What is that?
Domestic dispute and child neglect and abuse.
Domestic violence has definitely gone up throughout this.
Yeah, but not to the degrees that we thought it would.
I guess I don't know.
I mean, it's gotta go up because of if you think about the statistical probability, right? Let's say that you take this exactly. Take the same number of incidents, but multiply it times. I'm not a math person, obviously. I'm a dumb, but I'm saying, whatever equation it takes to add the amount of time spending together at home and blah blah blah. But with kids and everything, I haven't heard of child services being overrun or Department of Child Services being deployed at capacity or anything like that.
That is a story that would be necessarily publicized, because that doesn't necessarily seem like something that.
No, but I look that stuff up. You can look up domestic incidents and all that. I do look in my neighborhood, in my area. Yeah. Both where my house is and where the office is at. Just to know. Right. I just want to know.
It's perfectly available information.
Yeah, exactly. So,
knowledge is power at the end of the day.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But it's, people are just fucking broken in different ways, and unfortunately, money sometimes, instead of giving them access to repair mechanisms, they become an enabling mechanism, and it's fucking, I hate to say this, but it's only human for the most part to take advantage of the resources that you have at your disposal when you're in a situation where you have a choice to either improve or continue.
Right.
And obviously, taking the path of least resistance with the more resources you have gives you what you perceive to be less risk. And if you're already damaged mentally in that way, then I don't know how those people get saved or cured or helped, let alone how we prevent them from doing the shit that they do.
Yeah, right. I mean, like the amount of people who fall through the cracks of society.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix that. I don't know if there is a solution, right? I feel like every society.
I mean, I've said it for a long time. Like whenever there's mass violence acts, I don't think there's enough of an emphasis on that person's upbringing. But who are your parents? I think we start there, and I don't think that's ever. I know that it's not legal and it's not legislated, but I do think that we let the parents off easy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is stupid, but I love the movies Meet the Parents and all that. And at some point, when Robert De Niro wants to meet Greg Fucker's parents, he's like, "If I know where you come from, I have a better idea where you're going. So, like the Stone Age, I'm going to be studying your every move."
That's a hilarious line. No, that's accurate.
I mean, that doesn't mean that you couldn't come from like shitty upbringing and turn it around and be a good person and everything. But that will still be part of your makeup.
It's part of how you're shaped and how you've either grown or been stunted.
That's it. Absolutely. You know, and a lot of these people were finding out that abandonment comes in different forms of different social structures, and that it doesn't necessarily have much to do with economic despair. It has a lot more to do with mental illness, really. You know?
Yeah.
In my opinion, to be a parent that abandons their child, you have to be mentally ill. There's no. I don't understand another reason.
Well, and like, right, this just seems almost like the next big problem that humanity has to grapple with, right? We've gone to the point of being able to care for shelter, for safety.
Now, let's keep in mind that 200 years ago, rape was more accepted and prevalent and a way to procreate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, exactly.
500 years ago. 500 years ago. Not even an issue.
Yeah, totally.
1,000 years ago. Yeah. And what year are we of Jesus? 2020?
Jeez. Do you know what? I have a new.
Hey, look, it sounds funny, but that's
absolutely.
That's not that long ago. And non-consensual sex is part of the animal kingdom too. So this is part of evolution for us.
Yeah.
The only animals lucky enough to evolve out of that, right?
Sure.
To evolve out of causing pain to other animals of our same species. In fact, animals of other species. You know? So as much as I give us a lot of shit, let's keep in mind that we're fucking evolved monkeys, right? And that we are progressing. I know this sounds ridiculous, but think about it though.
Well, no, I'm like, right, like in theory, like I may have already said this on the podcast, but like, right, our grandchildren, our great grandchildren should look at us in our generation and be like, whoa, what the fuck? They were using phones that are made by children labor, right?
Exactly.
Great example.
100%.
Everyone and their mother, not everyone, but majority of people have iPhones, have smartphones, and nobody's protesting I mean, I'm sure there are some people, but the vast majority of people aren't protesting the labor conditions. I'm not saying it's not an issue or like a condemnation.
And think about like we talk about like the social media dopamine drip that we get, right?
Yeah, totally.
Half of that is an acknowledgement of not being lazy by other people.
Sure.
You're posting proof that in one way or another,
you're doing something.
Whatever
that is, but you're doing something.
Right. Yeah. And because people know that actually carries some clout or whatever, then you have a bunch of people that are doing something, but you also have a bunch of people that just pretend to be doing shit all the time, which means they're going out of their way in their life where they're not doing shit to fucking
post this crafted image,
appear in a certain manner.
No, so, like, right, this is something that we talk about pretty heavily at. I'm involved with the summer camp for high schoolers, for high school boys, for the people. I know you know this, but for the people. We absolutely talk about the effects of social media, especially at 17, 18, 19, when it's your brain's developmenting. My brain
sometimes it gets stunted.
My brain needs to do some development.
It's stopped the development.
But right, like how so many people, especially at that age, as you're a millennial, as you're what I like to call Generation Z, the Zoomers, so much of that world of high school is worrying about what your peers think of you, I feel like. And social media exasperates that to the ultimate level, to a level we've never seen in society. And just being able to have a conversation with a group of 17 and 18-year-olds and talk to them about this phenomenon and just address it, because I think they all realize it, but until you get a group of them to kind of talk about it, they don't necessarily realize how silly it kind of is. And
But you know who the most vulnerable to that danger is? The person that's not doing shit.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because there's nothing wrong with a person that's active, doing a bunch of shit in high school, killing it, like playing sports, having the fucking girlfriend, belonging to the community, whatever it may be, right? And that person posts something, and then he makes the guy that don't do shit
for sure.
post some bullshit that's not true. And then...
Or not even that, but just by virtue of viewing whatever this other person
or
wants
doesn't
to
post
do,
ever.
Doesn't post ever. And like...
I got nothing to say.
Exactly,
Why would I post anything? I ain't up to shit.
That's a bummer, because social media should be a place where you can share who you are, what interests you.
Do you follow Paul Maynard?
I have no idea who Paul Maynard is.
He's this overweight kid. I follow him on Twitter.
Okay.
He's here from Vegas.
Okay, cool.
And he's like fucking 400 pounds or something.
Oh, wow,
and he's been trying to lose weight.
Cool. That's awesome.
But he's a good follow.
Okay.
I recommend him. He's on Twitter, and he's through the quarantine and everything. He's been trying to but he's constantly posting and always talking about I fucked up yesterday, man. I fucking went off the rails, or I just don't feel it today. I still got through it.
Being real,
and you can tell that it's true. It's
right,
there's.
and that's
so and that's the thing is we choose what we're feeding ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Listen, last week I was waiting for a phone call at the office, but I was bored to death. I hadn't been a world star in a long time. I put in an hour. I looked at cheating videos.
Oh
I look at COD cheating videos. I look at female fights and mask fights.
You're all excited about it.
Oh,
do you know what
tremendous.
I found out about my dad or Pops? Apparently, when he's bored late at night or just hanging out, he goes on the YouTubes and watches Karen videos.
So he's one step away from Instagram.
Yes. How incredible is that?
I can't wait for him to be like, felt cute. Might delete later.
Him and the dogs.
New Mexico sunsets.
Hashtag inspiration. Hashtag get it, girls.
Rancher.
Hashtag farmers only?
Hashtag single AF. Hashtag sober. Hashtag catch. Oh shit. Hashtag bachelor question mark.
Should we make my dad a dating profile?
No, you should definitely not do that. No.
Oh, come on. No, but then we run it. And we set him up on a blind date. No, this is a horrible idea. This is a horrible idea. This is a horrible idea.
I think we should write a script. That's what I think we should do.
and hire somebody to do it.
Jack Black could play Pops. It'd be hilarious.
Well, no, but we need to see that happen in real life. I don't know.
We're not going to see it happen in our life because you'd have to do that to Pops, man. And that's just fucked up.
That is.
And listen, this is slippery slope. This can lead us to speculate on a portion of Pops' life we don't want to talk about.
Yeah, you're right. Let's move on.
Where does dating end, Bando?
Stop.
If Joey Diaz was here.
I'm taking off my headphones so I don't have to hear this.
He can't take it, ladies and gentlemen. You know what they say is about the kitchen,
Stop.
It's hot up in that motherfucker.
Stop. And I would like to get out of the kitchen. I cannot handle
it. Let's get out at once. Let's get out at once. Oh, it's tremendous.
You're stupid.
Hey, I try hard. It's hard work to make somebody this smart and good looking look stupid. Be stupid.
I mean, all I have to do is put a camera on, apparently.
That may be true. Well, I think that's it, man.
Yeah, well, here, let's do a cheers.
Cheers. Children of the Beast.
The children of
Little
the
beasts. Go out this week. Be a beast. Be a good beast.
Whatever that means to you. You can follow the show on YouTube, Children of the Beast podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, or not Apple. It's still not on the podcast store. Yeah, on the typical Apple podcast. I don't know what. Maybe I
gotta be honest with you. I haven't checked. All I use is Downcast for everything, and the shit comes on there. Well,
that was very easy for me to set up, but whatever.
We'll do it.
It's coming on Apple soon. Cool. It's on the Google Play Store. We're on Spotify, obviously. Follow the show wherever. If you're following on YouTube, like, subscribe, leave a comment. My friend Devin talked shit to you on one of our last. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, find our social media at Andrew_the Hut with 2 T's, like Jabba the Hutt. Follow Carlos at Wolfchild1980.
Yeah.
Send us a message. Send us your favorite pentagram image. Maybe we'll put a compilation of your oculate imagery that you send us. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
We're in the process of upgrading the show every time. The chairs are new this week. We're going to be coming in with a hot fire little intro riff at some point.
Yeah. We're trying to do a little Iron Maiden-esque inspired intro riff and just grow the show. And I do, because I listen to the other show, and I wanted to just say this before we go, is I just want to make sure that, like, this is a format that is still evolving in its recency, right?
Oh, yeah.
Podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to make sure I don't mean any hateful intent with words that come out of my mouth intensively, right? The intensity of it does not mean any kind of hatred behind it. And that's why I'm going to make an effort in regards to some of the expressions of the language. It doesn't mean that I can't convey the same thing, but I'm not trying to purposely trigger or offend anybody.
You're not trying to have to post out a Brian Callen video one day.
Well, I mean,
it sounds like you're doing a pre-apology.
No. It's not that. It's an acknowledgement that it's not. I am not void of self-evaluation.
Sure, totally.
That's all.
Well,
And this is part of it. Like this is part of it. This is how I spend time with my brother. So this is part of that self-evaluation. And part of the reason that we'll be talking about doing this for so many years is because this is how we like communicate and this is how we talk. And you know, it's about creating a positive environment for anybody that might relate to anything we have to say, to interact with us, and to engage.
Well,
really.
not only that, but part of growing is the ability to self-reflect and to of realize where, I could have done something a little bit better and have handled it a better way, and then try to move on and try to fulfill that. So with that, we'll leave you. The Lil Beasts, go out, draw 666 at your least favorite Mormon temple, church.
No.
Building.
No. We do not condone the defacing of any kind of religious structures or real estate.
How about cults?
Listen.
So if it's a cult, we can deface? Say yes. Just say yes. Just say yes for me. Just say yes.
No, man. You got respect.
I just wanted you to say yes.
Listen.
Come on, just for fun. Say yes, and we'll play out as if you had for real. So say yes. I need consent. Sorry, I'm channeling Brian Callen. Oh, it was not Lee.